Have you ever felt, well, stuck? Like you're putting in all the effort, but you're just not moving forward. What if I told you the key to your next big breakthrough isn't in some new productivity hack or self-help book? What if it's hiding in plain sight, right inside your own home? Okay, let's get into it and explore this incredible connection between your living space and your success.
This right here, this is the big idea. It's so simple, but so powerful. It means our environment isn't just a passive backdrop to our lives, it's an active player. When you finally organize that closet or clean off that counter, you're not just tidying up, you're literally clearing a path for a new way of thinking, for new energy, and for new opportunities to find you.
So seriously, take a second. Think about your home right now. When you walk in the door, does it feel like a sanctuary, a place that recharges your batteries? Or does it feel a little chaotic, maybe cluttered, or just draining? The answer to that question is, and I mean this, way more important than you think.
Now, let's be clear. This isn't some kind of magic or superstition. We're talking about a real, scientifically supported phenomenon. The way your home is laid out, the light it gets, the organization, it all has a direct and measurable impact on your brain. Think of your brain like a supercomputer that's always on, constantly scanning and processing data from your surroundings. And I'm not just talking about the obvious stuff. I mean the colors on your walls, the amount of natural light in the room, the sounds you hear, even how the furniture is arranged. All of it sends these subtle signals that literally shape your mood, your ability to focus, and your overall energy levels. It's no wonder a cluttered space leads to a cluttered mind, right? In a bright, organized space? Well, that's where clarity and creativity can really happen.
To really get this, we can look at the work of an amazing Japanese architect named Kizo Yamuno. He dedicated his career to studying the homes of really high-achieving people. And you know what he found? A super consistent pattern. The most successful people don't just live in their homes, they master them. They intentionally shape their surroundings to be a tool that supports their goals and boosts their well-being.
Okay, so before we can start building that kind of supportive environment, we've got to talk about the common traps. These are the sneaky little mindsets and beliefs that cause our homes to start working against us, often without us even realizing it. Oh, this is a big one. The idea that a home is basically just a utility, a place to crash at the end of the day. But when you think like that, you start making compromises that have these hidden long-term costs for your health and happiness. So, for instance, you might think a cheaper apartment with no windows is a smart financial move. But what are you really paying? The reality is our bodies are biologically wired to run on sunlight. It literally sets our internal clock. When you sacrifice that natural light, you're not just saving a few bucks on rent. You might be paying for it with your physical and mental health down the line.
All right, here's another one, especially if you live in a big city. We tend to think that a high-floor apartment means status, success, and of course, those killer views. But there's a really surprising downside to living way up in the sky.
The truth is actually pretty counterintuitive. In places that get a lot of wind or even tiny tremors like Japan, the higher you are, the more you feel those movements. Now, they might be incredibly subtle, but your body picks up on those constant tiny vibrations. And over time, that can create this low-grade background hum of stress that you're not even consciously aware of. Man, this is a belief that is drilled into us, right? We're always told that paying rent is just throwing money away. But looking at it only through a financial lens totally misses the huge emotional and psychological piece of what makes a home a home. And here's the reality check. When you buy a house just because you think you should, without a genuine intention to create a life there, it's not a home. It's just a transaction. It becomes another thing you own. And that lack of real connection, it almost always leads to a space that feels neglected and, honestly, a little unloved.
Okay, this last trap is a little more out there, but stick with me because it is fascinating. It's this idea that places themselves can actually hold on to a kind of energy or memory from things that happened there in the past.
There's even a scientific theory for this called morphic fields. It was proposed by a biochemist named Rupert Sheldrake, and his idea was that memories and habits don't just live inside our heads. They can actually be stored in the places where they happened, creating an invisible field that can influence what happens in that same spot later on.
And if you look for it, you can kind of see this idea in action all over. It might explain why migrating birds follow the exact same invisible pathways every single year, or why a certain retail space seems cursed, with business after business failing there. And on a gut level, it's why most of us feel a little uneasy in places we associate with sadness, like an old abandoned hospital. We are sensing the memory of that place.
Okay, so we know the traps to avoid. Now how do we flip the script? This is where it gets really good, because avoiding the negative is one thing, but actively creating a positive environment, that's where the real magic happens. So let's get into the practical ways you can design your home to work for you.
People who are thriving are masters of intention, especially at home. They use their space like a tool, and it doesn't have to be fancy or expensive, just purposeful. The dining table is the perfect example. It's a space for family, for connection, not for work laptops and piles of mail. And you can do this everywhere. Your bedroom? It's a sanctuary for rest, period, not a second office. You can even make a small corner of your living room a reading zone or a creative zone. You're giving every space a job, and that tells your brain what to do when you're there.
And hey, this isn't just a home thing. Just look at a company like Google. They pour millions into designing their offices because they know that the space itself is a tool to boost creativity and performance. So, think like a designer at Google, but for your own life. What do you want more of? If it's focus, create a clean, minimalist workspace. If it's relaxation, bring in soft lighting and comfy textures. You are literally engineering a positive morphic field for yourself, creating a home that doesn't just shelter you, it actively helps you succeed.
So, as we start to wrap this up, let's just boil everything we've talked about down into 2 simple, really powerful ideas that you can take with you.
First, and most important, places have power. Your environment is not a passive backdrop. It's an active force in your life, constantly influencing you, whether it's lifting you up or dragging you down. And just recognizing that fact is the first giant step toward taking control.
And here's the best part, the most empowering takeaway of all. You don't need to completely overhaul your entire life to see a change. It can start small, it could start today, it could start with something as simple as clearing off your nightstand or opening the blinds to let more light in. A better life can absolutely start right where you live.
So, I want to leave you with one final question to think about. If your home could talk, what story would it tell about you right now? What would it say about your dreams, your stress levels, and your priorities? And maybe more importantly, what's one small thing you can do today to help it start telling a better story?